This week's episode is brought to you by our good friends at Scratch.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Francesca. This is a day in my life. Let's go have fun. First Dad takes me for a walk. All the other dogs be jealous of my shiny coat. Then we go to the park. I always go get the ball when Dad loses it. He's not very smart. Here you go, dummy. Then we walk more. Walking is very good. Sleeping is good too. Do not disturb. Most days I sit up here. Every queen needs a throne. Then we wait for my scratch dog food to arrive, because I am hungry AF. Here it is. BRB. Scratch dog food is delivered to my door on a personalized schedule just for me. Scratch is yum and it is good for my skin, digestion, energy and joints. Thank you, Dad. You aren't so dumb after all. And that is my day. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Darcy Vescio, welcome to the Dyl Friends podcast, my friend. It's an honour, pleasure, privilege to have you in.
Thanks so much for having me, Dyl.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
Because we've been friends, and the first chat you had, you just reminded me of this, was on Discussions with Dylan back in the day.
Yeah. I was thinking last night, that was my very first interview as a Carlton player, was with you on the couch.
They really must have thought good things of you if that's their first. If I'm the first person that you're meeting at that club.
Yeah, I was so excited. I remember I was a bit nervous, but yeah, it was awesome.
When that would have been 2015?
16.
16.
Yep. I feel like it would have been the night of being announced as a marquee player.
Yeah.
So
You and Browner Davey.
Yep.
Who's now at the Pies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shout out, Bree.
Yeah, shout out, Bree. We love our coffee here. Just got a new coffee machine. Inglewood. We love Inglewood coffee roasters. You love Inglewood, don't you?
I love Inglewood.
Yeah, you love it. I'm going to get you some coffee beans. You drink cold brew, though. Is it cold brew?
This is a batch brew.
Is that the same thing?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, that screams to me like you're cool when you drink that. Like, I've never sort of ordered that. I've never thought, I'm going to go for the batch brew. What actually is that?
Well, traditionally, I'm a flat white girl.
Yeah.
But
Normal milk or you?
Yeah, just regular milk.
Yeah.
But then I was probably having like a litre of milk a day.
Yeah.
So I was
Not
like,
good.
I probably need to cut back. So then I tried the long blacks, and that was really hard. And now I've sort of figured out that batch brews, it feels a lot less strong.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Or, I feel like when coffees have those fruity flavours, that shines through in a batch brew. And also it's very quick, because they've got the jug there. If you're in a rush, they just pour it and give it to you.
Batch brew, is that in America when they're sitting at diners, is that a batch brew? Is that what about?
Maybe.
I don't know. I never know what that is. A cup of joe?
Yeah. I actually don't know the science behind how a batch brew is made.
I have a couple of, look, I didn't think we were going to talk about coffee for the whole podcast today, but I just have a couple of really weird nuances with coffee. And it makes me, you saying that as well about drinking too much milk, it honestly makes me feel sick even thinking about it. But when someone orders a large latte, that makes me feel so sick.
It's so much milk.
It's like a milkshake of coffee.
It's a meal.
Oh God, I actually don't even like talking about it. So you don't do that, yeah?
Nah, I don't do that.
Good. If anyone does, any of your teammates rock up and you're like, I'll get the batch brew, you keep, and then someone says, I want a lukewarm large latte.
Yeah, one of those real tall
and
ones.
you're just I'm not ordering that for you. That is disgusting.
No, do you a favour.
Yes.
Get it small.
How have you been? What's been happening? Obviously, you're back at training now. The AFLW season is imminent. We're saying so January 7 is the projected date that looks like it's all kicking off, which is great. It's a little bit delayed, obviously, of COVID and everything else. But how's the training going? Yeah,
it's going pretty well. We had our first official session last night. We've sort of had 2 weeks of induction and so it's been really fun being in at the club. Feel pretty lucky being able to go in and everything feels normal compared to life outside of footy. So it's been good.
What do you focus on mainly in an off season? For you personally, speak to a lot of players about this now. Is it improving what you're good at, or is it working on deficiencies? Where do you stand on that the most?
Probably a bit of both. I feel like you need to keep your strengths strong. And you want to be known for those things. So, I try to make sure I'm still working on those. But, I think for me, fitness has been a really big one that I'm trying to continually work at and create better habits and just be a bit more professional.
Aerobically or just?
Yeah, just trying to develop a new relationship with running, I think.
You didn't like training too much?
Nah. I think I've always read the ball well. I can read the bounce, read the play. So that was sort of where I had my little shortcuts. But now everyone can do that and everyone's fit, so
it makes it hard, doesn't it?
You get left behind.
Yeah, mine was like couldn't read the ball and wasn't fit, so it was sort of like worst of both worlds. But I know what you're saying. Like you look at players like Tom Mitchell and stuff, and you always think I've got to be quick, but then like you get to see like Scott Pendlebury, Tom Mitchell, and these types of players, and you're like, they're not like quick, so like you don't have to have it.
No. Yeah.
Fitness is big though. Fitness is one. I think the fitness in any sport, and especially in AFL these days, is the only thing you cannot bluff, is being able to run.
Yeah, it's going to help you no matter what, like no matter how fit you are, like if you can get fitter, it's going to help.
Well, am I right to say like Daisy Pearce and Erin Phillips like the fittest players in AFLW?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if they'd be the fittest, running a 2K or something, but probably if you looked overall, like strength-wise, I guess what would you say?
Holistic?
Perhaps. Yeah. And Erin Phillips, she's been part of an elite system playing basketball and everything like that. So you can just see like she's a specimen.
Yeah, she is. She's a bit of a freak show. You came off obviously leading goal kick last year, 2020-21 season. Successful season, being the leading goal kicker. How did you see it? Was it everything you wanted? Like I think you obviously played very well, but did you get out of it what you wanted? Yeah,
I guess individually and as a team, like we had a pretty slow start to the season, and I'd felt like I'd had my best preseason to date and was feeling really good heading into the season. So then, the first few games, like I don't think I maybe kicked a goal in round one, but didn't kick a goal for the first 3 or 4 games. So then was sort of being like still feeling confident in my ability, but just being like, just a little bit off it.
Yeah.
And then things sort of clicked into gear the second half of the season, which was good. But it's important to have good seasons. And you do feel like you need to. Like I know there's an expectation that I kick goals and am able to contribute to the team. So to be able to do that feels good. But like as a team, we didn't do what we wanted to do, but that's okay. You're not always going to do that.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like did you miss it by one game? Did you missed out on?
Yeah. We had, I think we, just missed out by one game. So to sort of have a season like we did and only just miss out, like I guess that's a bit of a silver lining, but still disappointing. What
do you do when you start the season not the way you want? Was there like a crucible moment or something you realised, a conversation you had that kicked you back in, or was it just like trust the process, it's going to turn?
I think a bit of both. I think AFLW, because it's so short, like you
can't
really
afford to have a bad slump, really.
The first couple of games, like we were soul searching, and it's like we don't need to be doing this. Like it's okay. But I think we just sort of, after the first couple of losses, we're just like, we can't worry about it. We just have to try to do better next game. Just kind of free ourselves from that expectation. Yep, we haven't started the way we wanted, but if we let that stress sort of infiltrate the team, then it's only going to be bad. So, I felt like we sort of shook it off and then tried to play better footy from there.
I'm so glad you said that. Like, I literally think that problem of like, what did you use? What word did you use there? Like the panic at the start of the season? What's that? What did you say then? It was a great way of explaining it. Because that is the most, that is how I sum AFL up in general. And maybe even professional sport. Like people panic, pressure builds. And it's like, just fucking chill. Like, literally relax.
Yeah. And it is tricky because the season is only 9 or 10 games long. Like that is, you feel that. Yeah. But like in a longer season, you do feel like you can build, you can afford a few stumbles early and that sort of thing. But I think you do need to try to trust all the work you've done and the people who you're playing with, that it's going to be okay. You can absorb the pressure.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it does make it a lot trickier when there is 9 games, which we will chat about in due course. But I want to talk about your story quickly, how you got into AFLW, how you're doing what you're doing now. You grew up in Markwood. Now, shout out to Markwood. We love Markwood. We love the 257 people there now of Markwood because it was 258. You're now here.
Left.
Yeah, so they're missing you. What was it like growing up there? And where is it?
Yeah, it's if you know Northeast Victoria, it's sort of smack bang in between Wangaratta and Myrtleford. So
nice, beautiful, God's country out there. Yeah, stunning. I love that. I love that area.
Yeah,
bit of snow.
There's I guess Hotham nearby.
Yeah.
We're not really a snow family, so I don't know where the snow is.
I can take you skiing. I went once.
Yeah.
It was fun.
But yeah, I grew up on a farm. I've got 2 brothers, mum and dad. My nonna and nonna lived across the paddock.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good childhood, just running around. I'd say we lived on a farm, but I'm not really a farm girl.
Yeah, okay. Did you farm? Like as in your family farmed? Or was you,
yeah, well, it used to be a tobacco farm, but then, they've got beef and a few chooks and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's not a huge farm, but...
Yeah. So tobacco farming, that's interesting.
Yeah. So
they farm tobacco. So how do you grow that out of curiosity?
I don't really know because it's sort of it would have been when I was younger that they were still doing that. But
you don't have to lie for them if they're still legally growing it. Like it's fine. We're not gonna. It's fine.
You grow it out in the fields, and then they've got the big kiln, so you dry it out.
Yeah.
And then I don't really know the process.
Yeah, well, it sounds like any other plant. You plant it, water it, and it grows.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, makes sense. How did you transition then, like into footy? So you're playing in Markwood. Was it really prevalent like AFL at that time? Did you just grow up playing with the boys? Because back then, assuming that there was no real pathway for women.
Yeah. So. I feel like I was footy obsessed growing up. I was a Saints supporter. Like most small country towns, like the footy netball club is sort of the heartbeat of the town. Markwood didn't have its own club.
Myrtleford Saints.
But yeah, Myrtleford and Wirrallie. So Wirrallie's just about 10 minutes down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I started playing my Auskick there when I was 5.
What were they?
Lions. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
The Wirrallie Lions. And they sing to the same tune as Carlton, so that's kind of nice.
I like that.
Yeah, we didn't sing it very much, but but I started playing when I was 5 because my older brother Zeb played, and everything that he did I wanted to do, and mum and dad were very supportive of that. So sort of played with Wirrallie up until I was 12 or 13, and then had 1 year at the Myrtleford Saints, and then had to pack up playing. And I remember I honestly did not think I would play in a league or anything again. I sort of thought that was it. There were a few other girls who had done the same thing. They were the only girl in the league, and then when they hit 14, like that's when they had to stop. So up until that point, I was like, that's my career. That's what it looks like. And so, I sort of just played a little bit of school footy, like once or twice a year when that rolled around. And then when I moved to Melbourne, that's when I slid back into footy just sort of by chance.
And that was with the Falcons. Durham Falcons. So just back on that point though, because it's something that I can't imagine, how hard that would have been to be you loving playing footy and taking it away from you. But it sounded like what you were saying then is because there was no pathway, like it just, that in your mind, you're like, oh, okay, well that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Like, is that what at that time, before there was something there, that was just probably was that what just expected?
Yeah. Well, I knew, I think my parents made sure that I knew that it would be my last season, so it wasn't a shock or anything. Yeah. And because I'd seen girls before me have to stop playing, and because there was nothing there. I couldn't, it's not like there was a pathway I knew I could go into or anything like that. But it's funny, I always felt like I was pretty at peace with it. But then talking to mum and dad, I think they said when I knew I was playing my last game, I was in tears and everything like that. But I feel like I must have just suppressed that memory. But I felt like you only know what you know sort of thing.
I think something that really stood out to me, and I hope that you still have this at the Carlton, but it was like the game changers, and that was what you called yourself.
Yeah.
And I actually like really took that on board. So I was like, fuck, at the end of the day, like this is actually part of history right now. Like you actually are game changers.
Yeah.
You are changing the game. And still now, like I think how fucked 9 years ago, like, and it is where it is.
I think because we live it every day, like I think sometimes we forget like how quickly things have changed. Like it's been a lot of work for many decades to get to this point, but when you're living it, you can feel like, oh, like things are quite slow. Or, but then if I think of myself growing up, like there was no AFLW to look up to. And I think I would have been an unbearable child if there was. Like I would have been so obsessed.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with, with watching Saints and, you know, the stats and everything. But if there were women running around, I think I would have been, just bouncing around.
When did the idea of it actually become reality? Like you moved down to Melbourne, play with the Darren Falcons. I remember watching the Darren Falcons because I used to live in Fitzroy and my mate lived in Preston, and we'd catch a tram down and we'd play in the cricket nets. And it was, I think they played on, I think it was like a Sunday or something like that, but we'd always play in the cricket nets and be watching the Darren Falcons play at the same time.
Yeah.
And like you were probably there at that stage.
Yeah.
But what was that like playing with the Falcons? Because like we see now, I think the two biggest clubs was it Diamond Creek and the Falcons.
Yeah, yep.
And you look at those two teams now, and like literally, not like 95% of those players are the best players in the AFL.
Yeah.
In the AFLW.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. Like, as I said, like I didn't intend on starting footy when I moved to Melbourne as an 18-year-old.
What did you move for? Just uni or school?
Yeah, to study graphic design. And it was because I played netball with someone whose dad was like, oh, I know of this team that there's a women's league down there. And I was kind of like, whatever. And he got in contact with them. And I think my dad made a phone call. And then, mum and dad I reckon mum took me down the first training session, had a signed check for my fees and stuff. And it was amazing. Like I still remember the first time I walked in, like walking down the little hill and just seeing the girls kick. And I was like, I can't believe every girl is kicking a drop punt. They're all marking it in their hands. Like I was naive, but I genuinely thought I was the only girl who could sort of do that. Like, or I was, you know, a special kind. But it was like walking onto another planet. But yeah, I started playing there. And at that point it was still sort of a hobby, like, especially for me, like, you know, some of the girls were a lot more professional. Like I played with Daisy and Asta O'Connor, Karen Paxman, Melissa Hickey, and they all carried themselves a lot more professionally than I did when I was an 18-year-old. But I loved it and I thought it was awesome. And I remember it wasn't until I got given a jumper, a Guernsey, and I saw that it said the VWFL, and I was like, oh shit, this is a good league. Yeah. Because I'd heard about it and I didn't know. I was like, I didn't know what league I was in or whatever. But I was like, nah, this is a good one.
I'm in gold right now.
Yeah.
That's elite.
So yeah, I remember thinking, oh, that's awesome. And then playing there, I think maybe it was in 2015, the first sort of exhibition. Oh, actually, no, it would have been 2013 perhaps. The first exhibition game between Bulldogs and Melbourne was happening, and you had to nominate yourself to be drafted. And I remember seeing it and thinking like it wasn't really a thing. But I ended up putting my form in, and I remember on the day of the draft, I emailed Jan Cooper, the woman who was organising it, and she's a huge figure in women's footy. She's done so much. And I was like, oh, hey, Jan, like I haven't heard back about the draft tonight. Like, am I in it? Yeah. And she's like, oh, nah, didn't get your form in time, but go anyway so you can enjoy the night with your friends. And I was like, no, like what have I done?
So you didn't submit your form?
I didn't submit my form in time. I say I did because I reckon it was like postmarked by the date, but they didn't get it in time. So I remember going on the night, I saw Daisy get drafted at number 1 and all my friends, and I was pretty flat. Like I think it wasn't until the day of the draft that I was like, oh no, this is like a thing. This is something I actually want to be part of.
Oh no.
But yeah, like, and
so what happened? Did you get?
No, like I wasn't in it. Like the top 50 got drafted and I wasn't part of it. And I don't know if I would have been drafted, but I would have liked to have, you know, had my hat in the ring. But yeah, I remember Daisy dropped me home that night and she said, like, maybe contact Jan and see if you can, like, be water runner or something on the day. And I was I was so mopey. I was like happy for her, but I was just really sad that I'd messed it up. So yeah, that's where my head was at and where my organisation skills were at pretty much. I deserved it. But then, yeah, the next year I got my draft form in on time and went to Bulldogs.
Oh, fuck.
But yeah, it sort of wasn't until those exhibition games came and when we had the first televised game and stuff like that, when I thought, oh, like the AFL's pretty invested in this and who knows what'll happen.
So 3 exhibition games? Was it 3 or 2?
Yeah, I think
3 years there was until the team started.
Yeah, maybe. I think it was over 3 years, but some years we had 2 games. So yeah.
So when did like your actual reality of going, all right, there's some teams now? I think they started with 8 teams, was it? 8 teams was the first initial drop. Obviously you're a marquee signing at the Blues.
Yeah.
When did all that come to fruition? When did you actually start going, fuck, this is actually reality now?
Yeah, well, I think I started working at the club as a graphic designer.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I was upstairs. You'd always come around, say good day to everyone.
I spent more time upstairs and it's probably showed in my ability at football, but I really liked the upstairs department. It was fun.
You were awesome. Like, you were one of the few guys who really seemed to enjoy getting around the admin stuff.
I loved it. They were better people. Yeah, nicer people up there, I'll tell you.
But yeah, I worked there. I started working there just before we got granted a women's license. So it was sort of funny, like working there.
Is that like a dodgy sort of like a deal?
It might have been. I don't know.
Now, I'm just sort of reading between the lines. They've signed you up before there's a team. I'm not trying to get you in trouble here, but you're working at the club.
I think they were like... I think they knew I could play footy.
Like they were grooming you.
They knew I could play footy. They knew I could design, and they were like, it would be a good opportunity to get her in. But yeah, I didn't think I was in that marquee bracket anyway. When we got a license, like I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get signed as a marquee. I thought maybe like as a priority pick, that's where the clubs could sign somebody else outside of the marquee who had an affiliation with the club. So I was thinking, oh, like maybe that's where I could come in. But yeah, I remember talking to Lauren Arnell one day. She said to me that the club were looking at doing them, like picking me up as a marquee player, and I was like, oh, holy shit, like I can't believe that. Because I sort of I was trying to play it cool a little bit upstairs, you know.
Trying to man Kim.
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
You know, like the staff were interested in women's footy, and, you know, they'd be saying, oh, you know, like maybe you could play for us. And I was like, maybe.
We'll see what I'm doing.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, but yeah, I remember, I was so pumped when she said that because she'd been working at the club as well. But yeah, that was sort of a real moment for me when I felt like the club, thought I was a good player. So yeah, that was special. Yeah,
I think it was obvious. I remember when I definitely remember it going down when you signed and Bree signed and Lauren obviously was the captain at that stage. The big moment though, like, and for me that stands out was that like first game at Ikon against the Pies. Like that was so big. It was huge.
Yeah.
Like take us back to that. Like, what do you remember from that game?
Well, I suppose it was a pretty big build up, like, because we knew that we were playing Collingwood for the first ever AFLW game. And because I was working at the club, like I obviously had a lot of insight into all the planning that was going on. Yeah. And like everyone was pumped. They didn't really know what to expect. Like I didn't know what to expect. And then like a week out, the game got shifted to Ikon because the Holden Centre only had a 5,000 people capacity.
Yeah.
And I remember Mo Hope saying at the time, like, that's not even enough for my family. So she was like, obviously the AFL was listening to what the public was saying as well, that it was going to be a really momentous occasion and people wanted to get there. But I think we catered for like 12,000 people. And then they were thinking like if we got maybe 15, 17,000, like that would be huge.
Massive.
And then to clock over 25,000 was amazing. But yeah, I sort of remember the build into the game. Like it was quite funny because on the morning of the game, I remember, because it was because we never played at night. Like every game I'd ever played in women's footy was 2 p.m. Sunday.
Yeah.
Like that was,
2 p.m.
the
Sunday.
worst time slot.
That's
like you
literally
could
the worst time to do
take out
anything,
the whole
like
weekend.
Anything.
Nah, you can't go out afterwards. You can't enjoy
I don't even like
Saturday
doing
night.
anything on Sunday at 2 p.m. let alone
It was terrible. But so we were playing like Friday night. I think it was a Friday night. So I thought I'd have a nice sleep in, try to eat up the day. And then I got a knock on my door. My housemate Meg was knocking on my door, and it's weird. Like we don't usually wake each other up or anything. Yeah. It's not like we don't have a weird like alarm knocking system. And I opened the door. I was like, what? And she was like, oh, have you checked your phone? And I was like, nah, like what's going on? She's like, you need to open up your phone, like your Twitter's been hacked. And I remember opening up my phone, and yeah, I had heaps of messages, like heaps of calls from my brothers and stuff and from the club. And like, yeah, my name on Twitter had been changed to like Judy Kelly, and it was like a really graphic photo as my profile picture, and like some pretty bad posts had been put up. Okay. And I think it had gone out because the club had like
Judy Kelly? What is she doing?
Judy Kelly. So like, you know how you have to go on the internet to find your porn star name? Like I already know mine.
Yeah,
like
Judy
it's
Kelly.
Judy Kelly.
Judy Kelly. That's great.
But it was just, it was strange timing. But I think the club...
It's not the most ideal prep going into Judy Kelly just steaming in and putting some graphic images.
Yeah, it's my alter ego on match day.
Claim it.
But yeah, the club was concerned because they had an automated like tweet newsletter thing. So like it had been sent out to the members, like updates and stuff. So they'd been smashed with some porn on like Friday morning. So that was, I just found it really funny. Like, cause I was like, I'm not going to stress about it. Like whatever. So it was kind of like just a funny thing to have happened on the morning. Yeah. And then the rest of the day was just a bit of a laugh. And
it's all up from there.
Yeah. So it probably helped calm the nerves. And then, remember arriving at the game, seeing people lining up. And then it wasn't until I think the first warm up when we went out, I was looking around and I was like, oh, like there's a fair few people here. Like this is awesome. And it was like the perfect night for it. A nice sunny day. And then I remember the last time we ran out, like Lauren Arnell, we were in the race, and she'd sort of said like, when you get out there, like, I know it's a massive game, but just like try to take it in. Like this is really special. So I remember going out and just looking around, and it was just like, it's funny, but I could just see like skin. Like it was so packed that I was just like, there's just people's faces everywhere. And I was like looking at certain parts of the game, and I was like, that's like where stairs are, and there's just people filling that spot up. Like that's like the grassy knoll. Like that's, it was just amazing seeing how many people were there. And then, the game, like obviously it was a really exciting game for us. And like I just felt like the whole night was just like we were floating around, and it was awesome. Yeah,
it was. I remember it really did set the tone for AFLW and what it was going to represent in the years to come. What do you think now, like in footy, has been the most pleasing thing that's happened since then in AFL women's?
I suppose we talk about the pathways a lot, but it is a really important thing. Like if you look at the girls coming through the draft now, like they're just so much better than what we were, sort of thing. And you can see how much AFLW coming in has changed like their trajectory into footy. Because some of those girls would have been like 14, 13, maybe when AFLW started, so they could see it. Yeah. And the whole way through, that's something they've wanted to become, which none of the women who were part of AFLW at the start, like none of them had that sort of vision going forward. Yeah. So I think that's a really amazing thing.
I think that's like, and I hope we're on the same page here, but one of my biggest pet hates with haters of AFL women's and not haters, but people that are knocking it the most, it's like, it's not like, yes, what's happening right now is incredible and it's game changing and it's the way of the future, but it's not actually about the now. It's about like the 5 years and the 10 years. And it's about exactly that. It's like having kids and growing up with your daughter being able to do the same thing as your son. And that's why I don't understand what people don't get. And that's why when one bit I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, you're bagging this, but it's not about this. It's about this.
Yeah, I think some people don't really think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
But also, like, so many people that, you know, don't love women's footy or are against it, like, they're not the people who have ever watched a game or
they're like, and they've got Holden Commodores in their DPs.
Sort of like they're transformers.
They're a Bathurst sort of like, and that's fine. But you don't. It's funny, isn't it? Like, not that, you know, trolls in general, I don't like giving it time of air, but sometimes I think you're lying if you say that shit doesn't affect you. Like, I can get a message sometimes and I'm like, oh, that made me feel really shit. Like, even I don't even know this fucking person. They have nothing, like, I'll never care again, but it is annoying that these, like, people hold so much weight sometimes. Like,
and I think you definitely develop, like, thicker skin over time. Like, I know in year one, if I'd read something negative, like, it would really affect me. And, like, and I haven't even received much personal negativity, but just reading it and knowing that that's about, like, the people you play with and
what you like.
Yeah, and what you're working for and everything like that. So I think now you sort of, you know, like, that it's not coming from a great place and that there's just a lack of understanding. But it's disappointing that people would spend time to write that sort of stuff, because I just think of the things that I don't like or things I'm not interested in. Like, I never would insert myself into that space and write that I hate it.
No,
Like,
it's weird. It's almost, it's not something that I would personally do either. But I think one thing I heard a lot, and I've said it before, but the one way I deal with it now in everything, like, personally, what I do is I think of, like, my most favourite person in the world. So, like, who's your favourite person in the world?
probably like mum or dad.
Mum or dad. Okay. Let me reframe that. Who's your favourite, like, most notable person? Not that your parents aren't notable, but I mean, like, I'm saying, like, most notable person that maybe has a bit of a platform. Could be a singer, could be an actor, could be me, if you want. Like, whoever it is.
I don't know, maybe like Serena Williams or someone like that.
Do you think everyone likes Serena Williams?
Yeah, no.
And does that make you like her less?
Nah. Well, it makes me like her more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's what the point of that is like, even if you like someone and you like something and other people don't, it doesn't make me like it any less than what I did.
Yeah, that's true.
So obviously 18 teams now in AFLW. We've added teams. So Hawthorn, Essendon, Sydney.
Port.
Where does it need to get to be the elite standard? Like, at the moment, talk us through what your team's got. Like, do you think that you've got, and this is actually, I don't know, you've got coaches, obviously you've got high performance staff. Is everything there that you need to be a professional team?
Well, I'd say we've got a great support team around us, but the thing is that we only have a 6-month contract and during that time it's 15 hours a week. So it's not a heap of time.
It's not time. It's not
so, you know, at the moment we're in contract. We probably have 3 sessions. We do Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday morning, and it's 5-hour sessions. And it also means that the support staff, like maybe 1 or 2 are full-time and everyone else is working on top of another job, which means that, like, they just can't put in as much time.
Much energy,
or they're trying to give as much as they can. And it's the same with the players, like what we were saying earlier, like myself in the league, like I'm not on terrible pay, but you know, I have the opportunity to do sponsorships and partnerships and things like that. Whereas there's only such a small percentage of girls who can do that. And most of the women playing are on like 20,000 or less for the whole year. And that's sort of what's holding us back, I think, because if you can't dedicate the time you want to put into your craft and your fitness and everything like that, then it's really hard to get to where you want to get to as a team. And especially if only 6 months of the year you're being supported financially for all the work you're putting in, it makes it really difficult. So that's probably, I think the first step would be being paid 12 months of the year, whether or not that means we're at the club 12 months of the year. Like, and and then hopefully sooner rather than later we can create a structure where we're supported all year round. We're in at the club, and that's where I think you'll see exponential growth in the game, and it'll be where we all want it to be.
Yeah. No, I can 100% agree with that. I think that being in a sport where you're developing skills, you're developing structure, all these things, if you're doing it 15 hours and then going off and doing your other job, it's going to make things very hard.
Yeah.
The question for that I have is, you got the AFLW season, right? That's like 8 or 9 games. Then it goes into the VFL season. Why isn't like the AFLW season just the VFL season? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you play 9 games? Why wouldn't that just be in conjunction with the AFL season? Is there a reason for that? Like, do you...
Well, I think the original idea behind having it over summer was that it would have that clear air.
It's just,
just pretty much it started straight after the tennis.
Yep.
Maybe there was a few clashes with cricket, but it was before the men's season. So people could just consume AFLW, and if people wanted a footy fix, then AFLW would be there.
Yep.
But as we're seeing, like as the season grows, like there's going to be overlap. And I don't know if playing across summer, like the hottest months of the year, is where you're going to find the best footy.
Yeah, well, anyway. 7 days after Christmas.
Yeah. That's it, 7 days.
I'm normally in a food coma still.
So that's something where I'm not sure in the future whether we will play across winter or whether both seasons will slide either way. Because I think it's pretty impossible to never clash.
Yep.
And I think if you see it as a clash, then maybe that's an issue in itself. Like, but yeah, I'm not too sure where the AFL is planning to move things.
Is there a time frame that like the AFL have given around full time for AFLW? Is that like in a plan at the moment? And again, like I actually think, I hope that this is right, but I feel like the AFL have actually done an incredible job. So I'm not knocking them at all. They've done like, to grow women's footy has been unbelievable. And they've done an incredible job at it. But is there a timeline for that? Like, have you had clarity on when that actually might be, that's the way it'll work? Or?
Well, I think at the moment, because we're about to enter another CBA negotiation,
right.
I think that's what's being spoken about now. Because I think, we're 5 years in now. I think girls want to know like what they should be prioritising in their life as well, like whether football is sustainable.
Because some players have had to leave, haven't they, because of work?
Yep. So I think the demand is going up for sure. Like from first year to season 6 now, like it's a completely different expectation on what players are doing, but the hours haven't changed that much. The pay hasn't changed that much. So girls are, especially girls on tier 4, which is 16 out of the 30 players are on that tier 4 payment, which is the lowest payment.
Okay.
It's around $20,000.
Yep.
And those girls aren't the ones getting sponsorships and that sort of thing. So more than half of the players in the league are really starting to feel that pinch. And for the young girls especially, like if they've grown up seeing AFLW and then they get to AFLW and like that's where the pay and that sort of thing is at, then they might be prioritising AFLW, but long term that might not be.
It's not feasible.
Yeah, the smartest option.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was literally just thinking that. Then if someone's like incredibly intelligent, they're at university, they want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Would they go and play AFLW and earn 20 grand when they have 10 years of study ahead, and they probably just have to do that career choice as well?
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, there's a few things like it's a pretty complex.
It is
space, but I think it's definitely getting better, but it's also getting harder.
What do you think? Like, and again, I just can't express like how much I do think it is doing a good job at the moment. We're talking things that still need to get better because it's not where it wants to be.
Yeah.
But what do you think can be like the biggest support from either current AFL players, the AFL, or even the general public? What can help grow AFLW the most? What do you think, if you could say to someone, if you wanted to support or help, what would be the one thing? Is it watching games? Is it getting memberships? Is it just what is it? What's the biggest thing?
I think the 3 things you mentioned, like showing up at the games is huge. Also buying memberships, that helps as well, but also watching it on TV. So just actually showing up, showing that you want AFLW is a really big thing. I think for the men playing AFL, like coming to games, I think that shows people the support coming from the men. Like I think, and especially for people who idolise AFLM players, like to see them at games does influence the culture and what society thinks of women playing sport. So I think that's something really simple that they can be doing. But yeah, I think just showing support, like I think we can all acknowledge that it's not exactly where it needs to be, but we all want to work towards a better game. So yeah, having that support is important.
Have you liked seeing like players transition out of AFL to coming and coaching AFLW? There's been a lot of players of late that have done that. Sean Hampson's just signed up with. I had no idea that he even liked footy. I didn't even like Hampo's one of the best blokes in the world. I didn't know that he was interested in getting back in footy, but from all reports, it's been incredible. He's one of the biggest gentlemen I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. He's a massive unit.
He's so big. His biceps
He's just so
are like bigger than my head.
Yeah.
Which isn't that big. Yeah, my forehead. How's he been? And have you liked it?
Yeah. I think it's awesome seeing, like even we had Sim come across.
Yeah. He's coaching the forwards.
Yeah.
He would not know the first thing about playing forward in his life.
Oh, he knows what backs
just maybe the selfishness, I suppose, of what he used to be like as a defender. That's maybe. I'm just talking about one of the game's greats here in the Stadium. He knows I'm joking. Hopefully, he just had a baby.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Congratulations,
Sim and D. So
yeah,
awesome.
Beautiful little baby
how was
boy.
he? He would have loved it. He's getting into his coaching.
He's been amazing. Yeah. And I think that's probably a really big thing for the AFL guys is knowing how much knowledge they have and how much we appreciate learning that knowledge. I think sometimes we can feel like the boys just aren't getting that involved because they don't want to. But I think sometimes you almost have to invite them into the space and be like, you guys hold so much value. Yeah. And like we all just want to get better at playing footy. So yeah, I feel like, I don't know, maybe you'd know more like being in an AFL space, like you can be so focused on what you're doing and maybe there's just not that awareness that like people actually really appreciate your expertise.
It's a really good point. I think you've actually nailed that there. Like none of the guys that I know, especially like they love to help out, but I think sometimes as well, you don't want to be seen to act like you know what you're talking about. And especially in footy, there's only like, it's like there's probably 5 players in a team that are comfortable.
Yeah.
The rest are like, shit, I'm playing badly. Like, who am I to tell people what to do?
Yeah.
But I've seen now a lot more players be like, no, you know what? I really want to get into coaching. It's a good way for me to, transition from football. What's your views as well on like the women's coaching in AFLW? Should that be prioritised too? Because we've got players like Peter Searle, obviously. Like she was coaching VFL like back when I was like my first few years, like 2011. Yeah. Alicia Eva, one of my favourite people to bless this planet. She's just like an absolute star. She coached me at the Giants. Beck Goddard. So Beck was at Adelaide.
Yep.
And now she's going, is it confirmed she's going to Hawks?
Yeah,
is that
She'll coach the Hawks.
Yeah. Do you think that's like something that should be prioritised, or for you, is it just like whoever's the best person at the job right now? Like half, obviously, I'm assuming you love him. He's been at the Blues for a long time. He's doing. You love him, maybe, but he's doing a good job. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it should be definitely looked at. Like, I think a lot of the time we say that a lot of the best future female coaches are currently playing. Yeah. So, and I think that's always been the natural sort of way in the AFL world. Like, past players become coaches and that sort of thing. But I guess it's realising that at the moment, if that's how you value coaches, like there's not going to be many women that tick those boxes, even though they might be great coaches or might have experience elsewhere. So, I think like as girls, of course, you want to have the best coach you can. But I think it's just looking at what your criteria for that is and whether that does need to shift to allow a more diverse coaching panel, which I think benefits everyone having that. But yeah, it's sort of hard to know. And because I'm not in the coaching space, I don't really know exactly how it would feel being a female coach in that space. Yeah. But I think it's just being aware that you're not going to get a 300 gamer like a woman coaching yet, or a Hall of Famer or something like that, because they haven't had that opportunity.
I think again, it's like the point of when you're a kid, and because you don't see it happening, you don't think it's possible. But then, you know, with Beck and Peter and Alicia, like these people, when you see it's there, you go, fuck, that actually is a possibility now.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is.
Definitely. And I think it would still be quite difficult being like one of the only women in coaching.
Yeah.
Because like, even though you'd be like, I'm more than capable of doing my job, like it is like, you know, when you're different in that space, and you might feel like you're always having to push certain things like women's footy forward, when maybe you just want to focus on coaching or whatever, or you don't want to be pigeonholed as only women can coach women. You know, things like that. Whereas, I don't know, I think in AFLW, even though, you know, we're trying to create this pathway and we're still in, you know, the first, that's sort of initial period. Like I know there's 419 other players around me all doing the same thing. So you do have that sense of like doing it as a pack rather than just feeling like you're the lone sort of coach up there.
Do you feel like, an obvious question, what's the impact like for you having that on like young girls coming through the game? Like, is that more special than even playing footy?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think like you often just think about your own game and being a good player, playing good games, stuff like that, being a good team. But then even the difference from walking around, say you're walking around Prinny Park, like 5 or 6 years ago, if you saw a girl kicking the footy, you'd be like, oh, like that's, oh, if she's kicking with her dad or whatever, like you'd be like, that's pretty different. Like, and you'd love to see it. But now when you go down, like you see girl gangs kicking the footy. Like I think one time I was doing a running session and there was like 20 girls kicking the footy on the oval and like only a couple of boys. And it's like, it's been completely normalized. And I think it's not like we've, you know, all of a sudden we've made girls interested in playing footy. I think girls have always loved footy. Like I think it's the greatest game you can play, but it's just like almost having that permission and feeling like you can take up that space and kicking the footy. You know, if you're doing it at school, like everyone's allowed to do it. Like, I feel like kids have always loved footy, but I just think, having the AFLW there means that girls are like, this is a space for me, and I can own this space and be proud to tuck a footy under my arm. Speaking
of pride, you are massive in the Carlton Pride. That's something that is going really well at the moment with the club. Talk us through that. Was that what like is the main aim of it? That sounds obvious, but what's the big project there?
Well, I guess being part of the women's footy space, that's traditionally been like a super inclusive, welcoming space. Like decades ago, you know, it was kind of like a safe haven for a lot of queer people. So I guess it's kind of like paying tribute to where the game has grown from and respecting that for a lot of the time. I guess AFLW wouldn't exist if those that community didn't stand up for women playing footy and queer people playing footy. So there's that aspect. And then there's also the aspect that like a lot of my teammates we're all part of the LGBTIQA plus community. So we want to make sure it is continuing to be a welcoming space, even though it is becoming more mainstream and there are more people engaging in women's footy. I think there's still like a lot of work to be done in ensuring everyone feels like they can go to the footy. And that doesn't mean just playing footy, but it means people feeling safe to go to the footy, to go to a men's game, you know, to wear their footy colours. I think of what the game has given me as a person, and I think there shouldn't be anyone in Australia who feels like they're not allowed to have that. It comes down to that.
And not speaking on everyone, I know we can't, but do you think people would feel like they can't be a part of it, or they just don't feel confident enough that it's for them?
Well, I think a lot of people have experiences where they haven't felt safe at a game, or you know, they might not feel like footy has always been the kindest place to them, or, you know, things have been said in the media, or, you know, slurs have been used that really directly impact them. So I think as a game, like, we have to actually welcome those people in. It's not just going to...
It's probably like the thing you're saying before about players, like, even though you'd assume that people are welcome, sometimes you actually have to say, come on.
Yeah, and if people haven't been part of that space before, like, sometimes you do need someone to outstretch an arm and be like, nah, this is for you too. Yeah.
Obviously, gun on field, gun off field, doing incredible things in the whole AFLW space, but there's more to you. You've got your graphic design, you've got your podcasts, Cutting Oranges, and you won at Carlton. Now, what was that one called? Because
it's called Behind the Game Changers.
Yeah, ever
podcast.
Since they cut discussions with Dylan, I've just banned Carlton Media since then. So I don't listen to any of their stuff anymore. I'm too upset.
No, that's fair.
Talk us through Cutting Origins. What's your show? Who have you had on, and what's the aim?
Yeah, well, we started it last season, and it was pretty much all about talking to different people who have influenced women's footy one way or another, because there are so many different angles that people have come in from, and everyone's of equal importance. Like, I chatted to Bree last season, so obviously coming off winning the best and fairest, like, chatting to her was really awesome. So someone at the top of her game. And my first episode was with salaries, who she was a Darebin Falcon. She played a few decades ago. She's rough as, but she's so great. And she was the first woman to nominate herself in the draft. So I think in, like, maybe it was 1990, like, she put in a slip to go into the men's draft because there was no rule that women couldn't enter. So
wow, that's real.
It's amazing. Like,
I know what the word I'm thinking of. Pioneering.
Yeah. And just, like, she knew she wasn't getting drafted, but she just wanted to prove a point and be like...
It's pretty cool to be on that side of history when it wasn't fashionable, like, to actually...
Yeah. And that's like, if I'm ever thinking of, you know, what we cop today or what we're trying to do in progressing the game, I think about people like Sal, who actually put themselves out there. When it wasn't as... Yeah, it wasn't trendy. Accepted. Yeah, it wasn't accepted. And she was like... I'm doing it because this is what has to be done. So people like her, they're like true pioneers. Yeah. And we're just kind of riding it. Well, I guess they've passed the baton on to us, and we fight that in different ways now. I had Andy Marr on. Andy. He's a great person. Yeah.
Just on Andy, like, it must be pretty cool and powerful to have someone like him involved with the club. Like, how special has that been? He's got 3 daughters, is that correct?
Yeah. He's just an amazing guy. He is at most sessions.
Does he really know what he's talking about?
He knows what he's talking about.
He does? Yeah, like, is he, like, I've seen him running around on, like, as a runner. Sometimes I'm like, does that actually make sense? I'm not sure, Andy, if that actually makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think... I think he does a pretty good job, but he's good friends with Half as well. So I think they've got a really good understanding. Yeah. And he's super emotional. Yeah. So I think sometimes, because we're all pretty new into the club, like, some of the girls were Carlton supporters, some weren't. Yep. So I think someone like Andy, when he walks through the door, you just know how much the club means to people. He loves it,
and it's awesome to see. He's a ripper.
Yeah. So he just brings that level of passion that just reminds you that you're playing for so many people, and it's really important. Like, even, it's your job, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah. What's next for you? What's your goals? I'm talking footy goals, life goals. What do you want to do with the rest of your long tenure of life?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know. Well, because even if you look back 5 or 6 years ago, like, I wouldn't have even, probably 6 or 7 years ago, there's no way I would have thought I'd be playing AFL.
Full time, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Or be part of this space. Like, it just wasn't a thing.
On the show.
Yeah. On Dyl Friends.
Yeah.
So I've sort of just... been pretty open to whatever comes my way. Like, I think I was saying to you before the show, I'm moving house soon, and I'm going to have a space to be able to do more arts and crafts. So I'm hoping that I spend a bit more time. Just
Arts and crafts is such a funny word,
so,
isn't it? Like,
it's
just
so
such
good.
a funny thing to say.
I love arts and crafts though.
It just reminds me of like
really
sticking
happy.
like macaroni on like a piece of paper or something like, and like painting it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're gonna do?
I might do that.
Okay. So is the arts thing, because like you're extremely talented. I don't want to embarrass you, but you're extremely talented in this graphic design field. Is that? I know you're saying you want to commit all your energy to footy right now, but is that something you see? Like, is that a post? You know, is it a business in that, or is it just being involved in, you know, having that as a part of an arm of who you are? Like, is it always going to be there?
Yeah, well, I hope so. I think I find when that starts to drift out of what I'm doing day to day, then everything else sort of gets thrown out of whack. So I feel like, like I express myself in footy, but I also need that expression to come through design and arts and crafts.
Yes.
So
Macaroni.
yeah, that's it. I feel like I need to keep that balance. I don't really know what comes after footy, whether it is something in the creative field or whether it is something in footy.
Yeah. I think you're a go with the flow gal.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way to be though, isn't it? Like, I think like I plan and it just stresses me out too much sometimes. Like, I think you just got to, each to their own, but sometimes it is just like literally just go with the flow and just wherever it takes you, just don't say yes to every opportunity.
Yeah. And well, now we know like everything can be shut down in an instant. So it's sort of, you just got to do what you can and enjoy the opportunities that come in when they do. So I'll just be trying to do that.
No, you've been doing it well. Darc, honestly, cannot thank you enough for your time today.
Thanks so much, Dyl.
It's been really, really fun. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we've nailed it. Looking forward to seeing this season, 2022 season go ahead. Just really hoping that I can get involved and help out as much as I can, because you're doing some incredible things. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Dyl.